Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Purplederple here, and it's been a while since I made a video. It's been, I think, over a month since I uploaded Zombietage 13. One reason that I don't make montage as much is I don't. You actually have to play the game to get the clips, and well, you know what I mean. I don't really play anymore, but if I can find someone to give me clips and I make the montage, I usually get my friend Inzi, but I mean he hasn't been playing much either, so yeah, I just got no fucking clips. Yeah, Purplederple exposed. I originally wasn't gonna make a video this weekend or any weekend actually. Well, I was going to eventually, I guess, but I have no plans for the time being or any time in the future, as a matter of fact. I just roll with it. Whenever I think of a video, I do it, but yeah, I haven't really felt like it recently until last night. And it's 4:30 p.m. right now, Australian time. I don't know why. It doesn't matter where the fuck I am in the world, but I only woke up recently because I spent the whole night like thinking, right? Like there's like these weird moments when you're just by yourself and you're just thinking, right? And it's like, fuck, 3 hours really just pass? I think I went to bed at like 4 or 5 a.m., which wasn't even my intention. I was gonna go to bed early, but fuck, dude. And what was I thinking about? Well, it's really strange, right? It's this will probably make sense the more I talk. So, at that moment in time, last night at about probably 12 a.m., I was just playing some Black Ops 2 multiplayer, shitting on randoms. Like, all the noobs are playing Black Ops 2 now. Like, I had like a 5 KD throughout the night, which was pretty nice, but that's regardless of what was happening. But I was just thinking, at that moment of the time, I felt good, right? I was like, the world's fucking good, like, everything's great, I'm feeling good, like, everything's awesome, right? But then I hop on Twitter, and the thing about Twitter, well, I use Twitter differently to a lot of people, and a lot of people use Twitter to tweet, which is the point of Twitter, really, but I use Twitter to communicate, if that makes sense. You might be like, well, everyone uses Twitter to communicate. I communicate to people on Twitter all the time. Like, yeah, I get that. Everyone uses Twitter to communicate as well. Right? I'm not some special snowflake, but what I like to do on Twitter is Twitter has a search bar, right? And what actually happens, something that I discovered a few months ago, when you type words into the search bar, like any words, you'll actually, tweets will come up, and the tweets throughout since the beginning of Twitter, right, that have those words in them will come up from most recently till the beginning of fucking Twitter, which I was like, holy shit, dude, like the power I have in my hands here is amazing. So I use my Twitter usage went up exponentially. Exponentially after that. Am I saying that right? Fuck. Anyway, because what you can actually do is you can find specific things that you want to talk to people about, and it's really awesome, as a matter of fact. I do recommend it, because what I originally did was I got my friend Inzi, and we would type up, I want a boyfriend, and I would tag Inzi, and I was like, dude, this Inzi guy, he's the fucking right guy for you. And it was really funny. They either got creeped out, or they gave you the classic crying out loud emoji, so... Then, I was like... I took it to a new level, and I started typing up things like, I was like, wait a second. I typed up things like, I'm depressed, and no one ever replies to me, and stuff like that. And you see these people on Twitter that are like having a shit time, and they're like they're fucking depressed, right? The thing is, you're looking through these tweets that you see, right? And you're like, you can see that these people are fucking depressed and they're sad and they have reason to be sad. You talk to them and everyone will experience this phenomenon should they talk to a depressed person. They will talk to them and they'll try and make them feel better, right? You'll try and make them feel better. But then it feels impossible. It feels like, how can I make them feel better when what they feel seems to be the right thing to feel? It's, how can I do it? Can I do it? Is it even possible? Most of the time you'll say some stereotypical thing like, life's good, look at family, and friends and all that, but the way I see it, and the way I've started to see it since last night, is it's like a house with 2 rooms. And there's a room with a window, and there's another room with another window. And one room is the happy room. And outside the happy window there's like glorious stuff. There's sunflowers, rainbows, fucking if only use me blade, there's titties, like everything you want. And in the unhappy room there's like all this dark and fucking, you know, opposite of rainbows, nocturnal rainbows. There's like all the shit things that are like hatred and pointlessness. I think pointlessness is a big one, and this vast nothingness and everything depressing in the world. And so people in the sad room can see the happy room, and people in the happy room can see the sad room. You know, they know about each other. You're not gonna convince them about the other one, because everyone in the happy room is like, come to the fucking happy room, guys, what the fuck, like, we're all friends here, everything's great. In the sad room they're like, but don't you realize it's all pointless, right? Everyone has their own argument, and in this situation everyone is usually right. It's all subjective. Why do I bring this up? That's a good question. I bring this up because there is a way to get people from outside of the sad room. There is a way. I figured this out last night. This isn't something I've specifically figured out, by the way. If you really if you think about it, it's pretty obvious, but it's, the house is sort of like a cycle. Now, the thing is, if you were depressed, let's take a break from that for a minute, and let's think about you. If you were depressed, or you were feeling down in the dumps, and you were tweeting something like, I'm fucking depressed, right? What would you want? You have to think about, what would you actually want to happen to you? Think about, for a minute, guys, everyone that's listening to this, think about the thing that you want the most right now. And I'm not talking about the fucking lottery win. I'm talking about something that can be done by another person, and something that is achievable to do by another person. But something that's totally unexpected, and something when a person doesn't even owe anything to you, right? And if that thing happened to you, would you feel on top of the world? And if the answer is yes, then it would be awesome if that happened to you, right? But everyone's expecting it to happen to them. No one is expecting to do it themselves. And if no one is going to do it themselves, then no one is going to be the ones that end up being happy. Unless someone has done it to them. Let me give you an analogy here. A guy is on a train, right? And he loses his ticket. He's like, fuck, I've lost my ticket. He gets off the train, he's looking distressed, he's thinking, I might have to jump the gate. There's like police officers around and stuff. But a guy, and it's rush hour, everyone's rushing past, and a guy sees him though. A guy sees this guy with a distressed look on the face, and he walks over, and he says, what's wrong? The guy would be totally in shock. He'd be like, I've lost my ticket. And he would be like, do you have any money for a new one? And the guy that lost his ticket would be like, no, I don't. Because he hasn't, by the way. And the guy that came up to him, let's say he gave him money for a ticket. Now the guy that received the ticket would be like, oh my fucking god, this is the greatest thing ever, right? Not the greatest thing ever, but he would be thankful. He would be like, dude, thank you so much. You're a fucking legend. You're a legend. Right? So he uses a ticket and he goes home. Everything's great. The next day, he is on the train. And he doesn't lose his ticket because he's like, I'm not gonna lose my ticket this time. I'm gonna get home on time. I'm fucking doing this shit, right? It's rush hour. Everyone's rushing by and he's about to go through the gate. But then he sees a guy. He sees... Actually, no. Let's call him a girl for differentiate. But then he sees a girl. And this girl is looking distressed. And he's like, that was me yesterday. He realizes that this was him yesterday. Now, let's freeze for a minute here. He approaches the girl. But would he have approached the girl if he hadn't been approached yesterday? Would he have? That's a legit question because I know for a fact that a lot of people wouldn't. And I know for a fact that I probably wouldn't. And this is why I chose that analogy. So, he walks up to the girl and he's like, hey, what's wrong? And she's like, I've lost my ticket. And he says, just like the guy yesterday, do you have any money for a new one? And she says no. And because of what happened yesterday, he gives the girl money for a ticket. And she is thankful. And the cycle has been broken. Because no one wants to be the one to do the stuff. But because no one wants to be the one to do the stuff, no one's going to receive the stuff. I make this video for a specific purpose. For a very specific purpose, right? You guys should be the ones to break the cycle. You guys, because there is only about 5% of people in this world, generously, that would actually break the cycle. That would initially do good without having someone done good for them. I make this video to encourage you to break the cycle. Because karma will come around and eventually it'll come back to you and someone will do something nice for you. Now you might be wondering, I don't know how to break the cycle. I still don't know how to help people from being depressed. You gotta think about, right? You gotta think about what is something you would think is awesome to happen. What would something awesome be if it happened to me right now, right? And something that can be done by another person, like I've already said. Because when you think about that specific thing, there is someone else in the world right now thinking that exact same fucking thought. There's 7 billion people. It's happened. It's happening, right? At the same time. So, what's stopping you from being the one that actually does that to someone? There's nothing. And the reason I mentioned Twitter at the beginning was because I was on Twitter and I was like, I wish someone would reply to me right now. I really wish someone would reply to me. But then I realized there might be someone else thinking that exact same thing right now. And none of us are going to get replied to. Unless I fucking do it. Because if I don't do it, I'm a hypocrite. Because I want someone to do it to me, but I don't want to do it to someone else. So I go into the search bar. I type up, I wish someone would reply to me right now. And right fucking then and there are like 10 results. And I reply to all of them. And look, I'm not gonna lie, some of them didn't even reply back. Some of them might have been weirded out. But some of them were like, hey, this is awesome. Because I took something that I thought would be awesome, and I gave it to someone else, and I broke the cycle. I broke it. So, if they were in that situation now, wouldn't they reply to someone else? I think they would. And that's how you break the cycle. And eventually, with the cycle broken, the good will spread. The person that has been affected by the good will do good for someone else. And that person will do good for someone else. Obviously, it's not going to work with everyone, but it's got to have like a 50% success rate. So you can't expect something good to happen to you like that, like someone replying to you, unless you do it yourself. And that is how I broke the cycle. And hopefully, started a better cycle. A cycle where the affected party, the one affected in a good way, will continue to affect others in a good way. as a result of how they were affected in a good way. If you're getting bullied, help someone else that's being bullied. I promise you, you'll feel amazing. Peace.